Stereotypes can be so inaccurate, yet they're also an aspect of different cultures and how they relate to each other. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the stereotypes Americans have about Indians, and let's see if they're true or not. Stereotypes can be harmful. However, they're also a fact that when you're traveling, you're going to have to deal with the stereotypes people have about you and also confront those you have about other people. In a future video, I'll talk about the stereotypes Indians have about Americans. A quick note from my lawyer. I'm Benjamin Jenks. I am here in beautiful India, and I've been here for almost a year and a half. In that time, I've learned some things about the way Americans see Indians and also the way Indians see Americans. Most of which seems to be not true, but some of it is true. Some of it is kind of funny. Some of it is kind of offensive. I hope that I don't offend anyone in this video. It is just for fun. It is just to help people when they're traveling in India to have a better sense of what to expect while they're here. One stereotype is Americans think Indians are more spiritually enlightened. I'm walking along a sidewalk near where I live, where there are hundreds of sadhus. People have renounced their material possessions, they've renounced their families, they've came to live here on the streets. Some of them in search of spiritual enlightenment. Others don't have a place to live. And this is similar to like a homeless community. They're being fed, they're taken care of, there are temples along this street. Many tourists walk along this street, giving them money. There are beautiful, colorful temples everywhere in India. And in some ways, it is a great place to take a look inside. It's socially acceptable to pursue the bigger questions about meaning in life that in a place like America, where I'm from, it's less socially acceptable. Like if I was just to be like, yo, I'm quitting my job, I'm never gonna see my family again, I'm gonna live on the sidewalk, people would be like, what are you doing? Oh no. No one would come and be my devotee. No one would want to hear what I have to say about spiritual matters. And rightly so, because I don't have a lot to say about it. In my experience, Indians are more spiritual and more wise in these matters than American people. However, in the big cities, it's similar to the West. People are pursuing their career, people are pursuing their job, people are working hard, they want to take care of their family, they want to make money, they want to get ahead, they want social status. Indian author R.K. Narayan says, I definitely feel man to man, an average American is totally materialistic in the best sense of the term. Work, wages, good wife, and good life are all his main interests, while an Indian will be bothering about the next life also in addition to all this. I don't know, what do you think about that? Is the average Indian more spiritually wise than people in the West? I'd like to interrupt this video quickly to invite you to subscribe to our channel. I share India travel tips, travel videos, and I'd love to have you a part of our community. Another stereotype about India is that everyone is poor or everyone lives in slums. And while there is some truth to that, according to the stats I saw, 22% of Indians live below the poverty line. In comparison, 12% or 11% of Americans live below the poverty line. There are a number of people in India who make a lot of money, especially in the big cities like Mumbai or Delhi, as the economy is definitely the economy is definitely growing and getting better. When Indians take vacations, they're probably less cheap than backpackers or Americans. They'll spend a good amount of money on a hotel room, they'll spend money for a tour, whereas backpackers can often look for the cheapest hostel or look for very cheap dinners and stuff like that. Hello, smile. Another argument to make would be that it's much easier to live cheaply in India. The cost of living in America is significantly more expensive. So even though they may make more, they're having to spend a lot more as well. Behind me is a local university here, and this relates to another one of the stereotypes about Indians, that they're great at IT. A lot of engineers, a lot of IT guys come to America from India. So it makes sense why they would have this impression. Now, is this really true? Americans are also used to speaking with Indians on text support lines, which may give them the impression that Indians are great with technology. Is that true? IT? Computer? You have computer? Computer? Another stereotype about Indians is that they are very good at bargaining. Some people might call them cheap, and this is a stereotype I would agree with, although it's not necessarily a bad thing. Let's check it out here. Name?
Name Jawad.
What price 1 kg?
80.
80? Low price?
80, 50,
50?
70, 80, 50, 40.
20?
Huh?
20?
20 20 கெல்லாம் கிடையாது.
No? Low price? Good price?
Correct price.
Local price?
Yes. 20 rupees change ಇಲ್ಲ.
No 20 rupees?
Change ಇಲ್ಲ. Mango very good mango tar.
How much 20 rupees?
3 piece. No, 30.
No, 20.
அட பாவி.
Okay.
எந்த நாட்டு பிச்சைக்காரன தெரியல.
Okay.
எந்த நாட்டு பிச்சைக்காரா?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I'm terrible negotiator when it comes to having the camera, but so I paid 80 rupees for a kg of mangoes. That's about right. Maybe I'd get 10 rupees less if I was a real hard case about it. But she didn't have 20 rupees change, so she gave me one more mango. I don't know. I feel like that was a pretty even deal. What do you think? Are Indians cheap? I feel like the stereotype is they're very smart with money, very resistant to pay for something that they don't want to, very willing to negotiate any price. I remember the movie The Last Mile or A Mile, the Indian movie about the Indian family who moves to France and sets up a restaurant, how they're negotiating everything at this restaurant and how everyone thinks he doesn't have money when he's just doing what he does. One thing that I've learned about being in India is that bargaining is actually can be a lot of fun and can get you better deals, and seems like a smart thing to do as well. Like, why wouldn't we both haggle to try to get the best price and see it seems like that would set the most fair price. Another stereotype is that Indians love spicy food. Here's one of my favorite restaurants. It's closed because of the lockdown, but the food can get pretty spicy. And I've heard that in Indian households where they're making it just for themselves, it can be very spicy. I've been warned to be very careful about eating at locals' homes because the spice is way above what someone like my Western taste buds can handle. Do you like spicy food? I think the American media did the Indian accent dirty with the Apu character from The Simpsons. Now most Americans think that's how Indians sound.
400-kilometer long river. Origin is Himalaya. So Himalaya in the north. So north to the south.
Three, he got chance. That's why he is smiling. He is not controlled by self.
And it was built in 16th century. It was started in 1565.
A lot of Americans don't see the Indian accent as sexy. They see it as more comical or humorous. So it'd be very difficult for them to picture this sexy Indian guy charming a lady with his voice. Most Americans haven't watched Bollywood movies where there are these sexy Indian leading men charming ladies. Although Dev Patel has been getting more popular in American movies, I think a lot of Americans also think that Indians have bad dance moves, or they might break out in song and dance when they're on a date with a girl. Bollywood is becoming more and more popular in the States, especially with movies being on Netflix. Yet I think what a lot of Americans don't realize is that there are a number of great movies that don't have dances. For instance, the Apu trilogy is a classic film trilogy made by one of the best directors in the world. There are no song and dance. Another stereotype is that all Indian marriages are arranged. I think this is pretty much true. The stat that I saw was that 90% of marriages in India are still arranged. Although I understand that in big cities, there's often the option for someone, if they find someone, to choose who they want to marry. However, it seems like arranged marriage is still a popular thing that's accepted in the culture. It also seems to be working. Those are the stereotypes I've found that Americans have towards Indians. Now, I know that Americans have a lot of stereotypes around the world, and most of them are not too good. So I'm curious, what are the stereotypes you have about Americans? Please share in the comments. Now for the reward, eating the fresh, ripe mango.